What's going on YouTube? A little random for a video like this, but I thought I would just show you guys some of the beautiful views we get here in Nova Scotia along the water. Isn't that beautiful?
What's going on YouTube? SSJ Quinny here, and today I'm coming at you with a very long informative video of all the forms of Naruto. Now, first, I just want to say something really quick, and then I don't want to ramble on too long, but this is kind of important because it's a long video. Yes, this video is 30 minutes long, so if you want to watch the whole thing, grab some popcorn, and I would suggest watching it in different parts. Also, if you don't want to watch a video of me explaining all the transformations, I'm going to make a quicker video as well. That's going to be not explaining, just a list. It's going to be very quick. That'll be uploaded a couple days after this one if you're watching this right now, as soon as it uploads. This isn't my normal setting. I'm actually ordering a donair right now, and I'm waiting for it to get ready. It's a Nova Scotia thing. If you never had a donair before, try one. They're absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's been a long time. The last time you guys saw me, I had like a patchy beard and everything. I'm trying to think I was going to say, but I can't remember. Oh, yes. The only other thing is that in the description below, I'm going to have every single form and a timestamp for every single one. Any mistakes that you see in the video, please comment down below and fix them, because I'm not as good at Naruto as I am with Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, any mistakes, feel free to fix them. But if you think a form is missing, at least just look through the video or the description first just to see, because I very well could have missed a form. But yeah, anyways, that's all I want to say. Let's get started. Get the popcorn and cold beverage ready. Let's go.
So starting off, we have newborn Naruto. Not going to go too much into the backstory, but when he was born on the day of his birth, he had the yang half of the nine tails sealed within him. The fourth Hokage did this right before he died because he feels like his son Naruto would have been able to eventually control the nine tails. He did not seal the whole nine tails, well, I mean, because think about it, the full nine tails would be a little too much for just a little baby to handle. So the fourth Hokage took the nine tails, the other half, the ying half, to the grave with him. The reason he sealed the nine tails into Naruto because he thought that someday he'd be able to grow up and control it and help save the world with it. This is Naruto at age 4. He's had a pretty rough childhood because he grew up without any parents, and he has the nine tails in him, so a lot of people consider him a monster. Therefore, he goes around doing pranks and everything just to get attention. The younger generation has no idea that Naruto has the nine tails inside of him, and also his parents, he has no idea who they were. He has no idea this dad was the fourth Hokage, and they said this, I believe, to protect him. Next, we have Naruto when he's 6. He hasn't changed much. This is when he started going to the academy, so it's important to add here. It's also when he started getting his butt kicked by Sasuke, and it's when the rivalry began. This is Naruto at age 8. We see him here during the filler right after the Uchiha clan was massacred. By the way, my pronunciation with a lot of Naruto stuff is just awful. Just a warning. Next, we have 12-year-old Naruto. This is how old he is when the series starts, and it's right before he's a Genin, and right around this time he learns the Shadow Clone Jutsu. At this time, he wasn't a very good ninja because he always slacked off and goofed around, and at the same time, he had no parents, so his childhood was rough, and he was always playing pranks. Not that different from when he was younger. Except for now, he actually has a father-like figure, which is Iruka-sensei. Next, we have Naruto. It's basically at the same time period, but it's just when he gets promoted to Genin. It's a pretty important part to include, especially since he starts taking things a bit more seriously and he starts training harder from here on out. Around this time, Naruto starts getting good at transformation jutsus, and his favorite move becomes the Shadow Clone Jutsu. One thing about Naruto that makes him really strong is that he has a lot of chakra. Even though at this time he doesn't know how to use it right and he wastes a lot when he does jutsus, he has so much. Even more than Kakashi. Even though Kakashi's still a lot stronger than him at this time.
I'm gonna kill you!
Jesus Christ! This here is known as the initial Jinchuriki transformation. We first see this when Naruto is fighting Haku on the bridge when he thinks Sasuke dies, and we also see it when he's fighting Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. So, with this form, he needs a trigger. When that happens, some of the Nine Tails chakra gets released, and it affects Naruto and makes him much stronger and much faster. He can blow away fireballs with just a roar, and he can also heal a bunch of wounds that he receives, even sometimes near fatal wounds. His pupils become, or his irises, shall I say, become red, and his pupils become slits like the Ninetales' eyes. His hair becomes a little bit spikier, and the whisker-like markings on his face become thicker as well. He grows nails, well, shall I say, his nails grow sharp and pointy, and his canine teeth become sharp and pointy as well. His moods and attitude also change during this form. He gets a lot more aggressive, and he gets angry a lot easier, and his reasoning is not as good. Now, he still has a lot of control in this form though, and he can even turn this form off at will, which we see when he fights Haku. Next, we have Naruto after he got hit by Orochimaru's 5-pronged seal in the Forest of Death. Long story short, Orochimaru saw Naruto access some of the Ninetales chakra and saw how strong he became, so he saw it as a bit of a threat, so he used a 5-pronged seal on Naruto to seal the Ninetales chakra. The reason why I included this, because it actually does change Naruto a bit. He couldn't even walk on water. It messed up just his normal chakra control as well. After Jiraiya undid the seal, he had no problem walking on water, so yeah, it made him a bit weaker as well. Next, we have Naruto with the Ninetales Chakra Boost. While this doesn't have an official name and it's not really form, it's still important to include because with this, Naruto gets a lot stronger. Long story short, when he's training with Jiraiya for a month, he learns how to access the Ninetales Chakra after Jiraiya undoes the 9-pronged seal on him. He can only do this at first when his chakra is really, really low, when he basically doesn't have any left. He sees his own chakra as a yellow chakra, and then he notices that he can also feel a different chakra called a red chakra, which is the Ninetales chakra. Anyways, when he accesses this chakra, he gets a lot stronger. He doesn't change any physically, but he does get a little red chakra aura around him. He uses this when fighting Neji and Gaara. He gets much stronger. When he's fighting Neji, he's actually able to tunnel through the ground with his bare hands and uppercut Neji from underground. That takes a lot of skill and a lot of strength, and I don't think Naruto would be able to do it unless he was accessing this Ninetales chakra. Also, at first he had to use his chakra boost to perform a proper summoning as well. This form is weaker than the initial Jinchuriki form. And not much to say here. Now we just have Naruto after all of Jiraiya's training. He now knows how to do the rasengan. Again, he can do a summoning, and he's quite a bit stronger. Next, we have his initial Jinchuriki form post-Jiraiya training. No differences here than the last one, but something pretty cool. We do see him heal a Chidori that went through his right lung. Next, we have Naruto with the one-tailed Kyuubi Chakra cloak. In this form, he starts to get more angry and more Ninetales chakra seeps out. When this happens, you can actually see the chakra start to form around his body, and it takes the shape of the Ninetales with only one tail. This form is a one-tailed version of Naruto's version 1 form, and again, I explained all that at the beginning of the video. This form takes every single ability that the initial Jinchuriki form had and makes it better. So his healing is better, he's stronger, he's faster. His looks also change a bit as well. His eyes get a bit more darker, his teeth get a bit longer, and his nails get a bit longer and sharper as well. And his hair gets pointier. He also gets more aggressive than he was in the initial form, and he also goes on all fours more than he did in the initial form as well. Also, the chakra that surrounds him can attack his opponent on its own will. Next, we have Naruto at the beginning of Shippuden. He is now 15. There was a little bit when we see him at 13, but he looks the exact same, so I didn't decide to include that. But yeah, he now has a different orange jacket and stuff on, and his headband has changed a little bit because, he's getting older and growing, and, clothes wear out. But yeah, not much has changed about it except for he's older, he's a bit stronger, the Ninetale seal is weakening a bit. He didn't develop much new jutsu, but he is better with shadow clones now. Next we have Naruto one-tailed after the time skip. Next we have Kyuubi Chakra Cloak Naruto when he sprouts a second tail. With this, he gets a lot stronger. His looks change a bit as well. He starts to look more aggressive. His hair gets a bit more pointy. The line markings on his face get thicker, and his teeth get longer as well. He also seems to get a lot more aggressive with this as well. He's getting closer to becoming the Ninetales, and more chakras coming out, so of course that's going to happen. But it's pretty similar to the one-tailed version. It's just a stronger version where he loses a bit more reasoning. Now we have the three-tailed Kyuubi Chakra cloak. Now this is the exact same as the two-tailed version, except everything is just enhanced even more. His nine-tailed features get more pronounced. He has obviously three tails, and now he loses even more control. In the two-tails form, he was pretty rough at controlling himself. Now he's even worse, but he still has a little bit of control. And to me, it looks like the Chakra cloak is thicker as well. Next, we have the four-tailed Kyuubi Chakra cloak. This is just a filler episode that a lot of people didn't know existed. It's the exact same as the three-tailed Kyuubi Chakra cloak, except he's stronger because he has an extra tail, and he's more aggressive than the three-tailed version, etc., etc. He only stays in this form very briefly, and then he converts to his version 2 four-tail form. Speaking of which, here it is. Naruto Four Tails version 2. Now when Naruto first goes into his four-tailed form and he sprouts the fourth tail, he turns right into the version 2 form. When this happens, the chakra surrounds him, gets more dense, and takes the shape of a mini nine tails. Now in this form, Naruto loses all reasoning and he gets much stronger than he was in his three-tailed form. He was even able to give Orochimaru trouble in this form. Of course, Orochimaru was weakened. Due to the Nine Tails' hatred, he cannot control this form. When Sakura goes up to talk to him, he attacks her without any warning. Also, due to the Nine Tails' hatred and malice, the chakra actually harms Naruto when he's in this form, and it burns off the top layer of his skin. Painful, eh? Also, anyone who touches him will get burned by the chakra as well. In this form, Naruto loves to spam the chakra arms. He can use his chakra arms to a much more extent than he could in the version 1 form. When he's fighting Orochimaru, he literally makes two giant chakra arms try to ambush him from underground, and he misses, so he makes another chakra arm come out of those chakra arms and chases Orochimaru down with it. And in this form as well, he can also use a smaller version of the tailed beast bomb. Next we have Naruto with 5 tails in his version 2 form. This isn't any different than the 4 tails form. He just sprouts an extra tail, so he's a lot stronger, and the Kyuubi's getting an extra step closer to getting released. Next we have Naruto after the rasenshurikan training. This is important to include because after this, Naruto learns how to control and use wind chakra manipulation. Now, what I find really weird is that he only uses the rasenshurikan and he never uses any other wind jutsu, which kind of sucks. It'd be really cool to see him use some cool wind jutsus down the road, but he never really does that. Also, I decided to include this picture here because when he uses the rasenshurikan for the first time, his eyes undergo this weird thing where they're still blue, but they have the Kyuubi chakra, the Kyuubi slits there that kind of exist. I didn't really know what was going on, but they exist in the manga there as well. He can't use the rasenshurikan in his base form anymore, though, because it damages his hand too much. Just because the jutsu is so strong that even forming it in his hand can damage the hand that creates it. Tsunade says if he uses it too much, it'll have permanent damage to his hand that will not be able to be healed. Next, we have Incomplete Sage Mode. This is just a form Naruto achieves when he's training to learn how to master Sage Mode, and he gets this form first. In this form, he successfully absorbs enough Sage energy to hold on to a form, though he is still using a oil that helps him absorb nature energy better, but he does successfully hold on to the form without going too far and almost turning into a frog. In this form, we don't see much, but we do know that he lifts a huge stone statue that he couldn't budge in his base form. In this form, your appearance gets a little bit altered, like for example, Naruto gets warts all over his body and stuff like frog-like markings. When you're in normal Sage mode, you don't have those. That also means that Jiraiya's Sage mode wasn't mastered either. Next, we have Sage Mode Naruto. This is his complete Sage Mode. You can tell it's the complete Sage Mode because now he does not have any more toad markings on his body. The only thing that changes about him with looks is that he has the frog-like pupils and his irises turn yellow, and he has the red sage makeup around his eyes, or makeup, whatever you want to call it. Red markings. He gets into this form basically by gathering nature energy without using any of the toad oil. The drawback is that he has to sit completely still without movement to do so. In this mode, his strength, speed, reflexes, everything get multiplied a crap ton. Also, he can add Sage energy to his attacks to make them stronger. His durability goes up as well. As I mentioned, everything gets multiplied, but an example, he falls off a huge mountain and he thought he was going to get hurt, but because he was in Sage mode, he didn't even feel it. For his strength, he's able to throw 2 summonings from the summoning path that are huge, ginormous rhinos into the sky very easily. The downside is that he cannot gather the Sage Chakra while moving around, because again, he has to be still while in this form. Also, he can sense attacks as well, and he can sense Sage energy as well, and he can also use the Sage energy like an extension of his own body, making attacks that cannot be seen to the naked eye. Overall, I would say this form is stronger than any of the forms that we've seen before. I would say Sage Mode Naruto versus Four Tails Naruto, Sage Mode Naruto would win no problem, easily. And even though this form gets bypassed later on, he still uses it for a bit also, because this form has certain abilities, for example, sensing natural energy, that Bijuu Mode, for example, does not. Next, we have Six-Tailed Naruto. Now, this is another version 2 form, and it's kind of similar to the Four-Tailed form, but it's much, much stronger, and the Nine Tails bones start appearing as well. That just offer as a bit more protection for Naruto in this form. Now, in this form, we don't really see any new attacks. He's just way stronger than he was in his Four-Tailed form. He's able to even repel a almighty push from pain. Now that's pretty crazy. Now, as for his reasoning, Naruto really didn't have any control in the Four Tails form anyways, but this form has a little bit less control, and he's becoming closer to becoming the Nine Tails as well. As for the strength, this form I'd say would beat every single form beforehand, but I do think it would struggle with Sage Mode. Now you may say, well, Quinn, this form, beat all the pains while Sage Mode couldn't. Well, you're right, but we gotta remember that Sage Mode took out a bunch of the other pains, and by the time the Sixth Tail came out, the last pain was the only one left. Though he was the strongest, Naruto's Sage Mode also ran out when he was fighting this pain. So I think if he could keep his Sage Mode, I do think that Naruto could put up a really good fight against the Six-Tailed form in this. Let's just say, for example, if both the forms existed at the same time. Now, if Naruto had control of this form, I think he would decimate Sage Mode for sure. Like, if this form hit Naruto with a mini-tailed beast bomb when he was in Sage Mode, I don't think there would be much left to Sage Naruto at all. But Sage Mode Naruto could also do a mass rasengan barrage and do some damage. Also, he could use rasenshurikan as well. So I think there'd be a good chance. And we gotta remember that Sage Mode Naruto, even though the Nine Tails was weaker in his mind, he fought against the full Nine Tails in his mind in Sage Mode. And, well, was able to take chakra from it. Next, we have Naruto in Sage Mode with his initial Jinchuriki form as well. Just gonna say the eyes in this form look badass. We don't see much fighting in this form, but this form activates when he's talking to Nagato, and he gets really, really angry while he's in Sage Mode, and the Nine Tails chakra seeps through. We never see this form fight again, but I suspect it would be extremely strong and quite a bit stronger than Sage Mode as well. I also think this form would beat Six-Tailed Naruto as well. Next, we have Naruto Semi-Chakra Mode. Not going to explain this form very much, it just happens in a filler episode. He just appears and uses a tailed beast rasengan. That's pretty much it. Moving on. Next, we have Naruto with 6 tails in a partial semi-Bijuu mode. Now, when Naruto's fighting this clone Naruto that's at his full power, long story short, he ends up turning into this form where he has control of the 9 tails and he has 6 tails. This form has no legs, it only has its upper body. This form ends up getting defeated while fighting the clone Naruto. But it's stronger than any of the forms that came beforehand, I would say. Next, we have 7-tailed Naruto. After the 6-tail partial Bijuu mode form gets defeated again, the 9 tails chakra takes over, and Naruto turns into this form. Now, I wouldn't say this is a version 2 form, and kind of more of a partial transformation form. The form's huge, not exactly as big as the 9 tails, but it's very big. As you can see, he's like taller than the trees here, just as tall as them. All of the chakra bones, instead of just floating over his body like it did in the 6-tailed form, are now like in the chakra. As you can tell, he's like he's getting closer to turning into the 9 tails again. The bones also go throughout the tails, which it did with the 6-tail form as well. We don't see this form fight a lot more, but it is stronger than the 6-tailed form that we saw appear beforehand. Next, we have Eight-Tailed Naruto. Now, as you can see, this form is obviously a partial transformation form. Now, all of his tails kind of have like the version 2 chakra around them. But, yeah, this form looks badass. When Naruto's fighting pain and gets caught in the planetary devastation, he loses his shit even more and sprouts 8 tails and just is about to sprout 9 before he gets interrupted by the 4th Hokage, which when we find out is his dad. Now, we don't see this form do a lot of things, but we can assume that it is stronger than every single form that we see beforehand. He's almost the 9 tails at this point. Like, all of his muscles are forming. We just don't see all of his, like, skin and fur form. But he's basically almost the 9 tails of this form, and it is the strongest form we've seen since, and he obviously has no form. I would say the 9 tails is basically taken over when he's in this form. Next, we have Naruto in his 9 tails chakra mode. Now, basically, he gets this form like this. He undoes the seal on his stomach, so the 9 tails tries to take over him in his mind, but he ends up fighting it. When he fights it, he ends up having a chakra tug-of-war with it, and he ends up yanking off some of the 9 tails chakra. After he does that, he seals up the 9 tails again, and he has the chakra separately to use. When he's in this form, he turns golden and gets these markings on him, as you can see. His pupils still stay the same, they're just yellow like the chakra that's around him. But again, he doesn't have a full bond with the 9 tails, he's just using his chakra. Now, in this form, Naruto likes to spam the chakra arms. He uses chakra arms all the time. He also makes a bunch of cool different rasengans in this form as well. He cannot do a tailed beast bomb, but he can do something that he calls the tailed beast rasenshurikan, which he only uses like once. But no, he still can't do a tailed beast bomb. When he first got this form, the 8 tails warned him that the 9 tails can also take his chakra while he's in this form and he can die, but the 9 tails actually stops doing this a little bit after he gets the form because he ends up starting to like him a little bit secretly. He can't sense natural energy in this form, but he can sense malice. Also, his strength and durability and everything increase as well, even more than it did in Sage mode. Now, for strength, I would say that this form is actually slightly weaker than the 7-tailed form and the partial BIJUU Six-tailed mode that we saw. But I would definitely say that it's stronger than the 6-tailed form that he used when he fought against Pain. I would actually say, though, if he had control of the version 2 6-tailed form when he was fighting Pain, if he had 100% control of it, let's just say, and he fought against himself in chakra mode, I would say it would be a pretty even fight due to this 6-tailed form actually being able to use tailed beast bombs and stuff. But I would say this form would put up an even fight with it. But again, because he has control in this form, he would basically beat every single form that came before, except for the 7-tailed form and the partial BIJUU 6-tailed form that we saw in the filler. Moving on.
Next, we have Naruto's failed BIJUU mode transformation. And this is more of a comedy form that they put in that actually represents Naruto's original transformation in the pilot manga. Go read that if you want to check it out. But yeah, it's just sort of a parody, but it does like take away all his chakra when he goes into this form. Unknown if that's just for parody reasons or if it's just, you know, a shitty form that takes away all your chakra.
Next, we have BIJUU mode Naruto, finally. Now, some people call this form Kyuubi Chakra mode 2, and I think that's very incorrect because even though it looks very, very similar, I think this form is a lot different than chakra mode. Now, this form happens when Naruto becomes friends with the 9 tails, and they combine their chakra, and he turns into BIJUU mode, which looks like this. Now, I know what you're saying. Why doesn't he turn into the 9 tails? I mean, Killer Bee, you know, combines his chakra with the 8 tails, and he just turns literally into the 8 tails. Well, that's a really, really good point. The thing is that Naruto's different, and the 9 tails is different. Now, they probably just did it to make Naruto's character stand out and be different, but yeah, that's just how it is. Now, in this form, his looks also change a bit more. His pupils become slits like the 9-tail has, a chakra cloak appears as well, and the markings on him change as well, and the lines on his face become thick, black, kind of rectangles.
When I say cloak, I'm actually talking about, like, you know, that jacket thing that he gets. He gets, like, a jacket thing that covers over him as well. And the markings that he has in chakra mode, there's now more of them, and they're a bit different. Now, onto power and ability. Jesus, excuse me. You know what? That was impressive. I'm going to keep that in there. Anyways, on to power and abilities. Now, before we start going on, where's Kurama mode? Where's the full 9 tails mode? Don't worry, we're getting to that. That's going to be next on the list. In this form, Naruto can use a bunch of partial transformations. As you can see here, he has all 9 tails visible here. He can also make the 9 tails Kuruma's head appear. And also with this head, he can shoot tailed beast bombs. In this form, he can also shoot tailed beast bombs. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. With his chakra, he can actually pass it on to people and give them like a tailless version 1 cloak that strengthens their abilities like crazy, and also makes it also protects them as well on its own will. So that's really cool. Overall, this form is way stronger than any form that we've seen yet. Literally, this is the full power of the half of the 9 tails that Naruto has in him. And as I should mention, this is only the only one half of the 9 tails he has in him.
Also, something very important I forgot to add. In this form, he has the chakra from the 2 to 7 tails, just a little bit from each tailed beast given to him, but he cannot access or tap into this chakra yet.
Next we have Kurama mode. Now before we go into this, just let me explain this right quick. I actually still see this as BIJUU mode. The first BIJUU mode that I just went over, the only difference between that form and this form is that when Naruto's in BIJUU mode and doesn't have the Kurama avatar present, he's just choosing not to use it. These forms are literally both the exact same form. Again, just in this form here, he's choosing to, make Kurama present. Now, that is a lot different than all the other tailed beasts. For example, Killer Bee, he actually has to turn into a full flesh version of the 8 tails, which can be a disadvantage because he actually doesn't use it sometimes because it's so big. Now, Naruto, with this, he can actually, put the Kurama avatar away, shall we call it, or just choose not to use it. Therefore, he's still small and doesn't have, the chance of hurting people. Now, this form still does make him a little bit stronger, I believe, than he is without the Kurama avatar. And I don't know, and it's never explained, if this form is just as durable as the 8 tails and all the other tailed beasts. As, you know what I mean? Like, is there a disadvantage to having chakra? I mean, if he loses a limb, he can just grow it back because it's just chakra. But is the chakra as dense as it would be if it was an actual flesh version of the 9 tails? You know what I mean? Does it offer as much protection? I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Now, with this form, he can do everything that the last form could do. The special moves and everything, they're all the same, except in this form, he can actually choose to let people in and out of it. As you can see, also, Naruto floats in the head of this thing, and he controls it, himself. But, he can also, for example, an enemy just can't enter it. But if he wanted a friend to enter it, he could easily, have a friend enter it and also get the same protection that he gets from it. Now, while a friend is in this, they can also replenish, all the chakra will get replenished. Sorry, that was a little sloppy there. But, yeah, I think I put my point across there. All the black lines, he still gets, like, a bunch of black line markings and all that stuff. And, yeah, it's a pretty tank and a really, really cool form. And he can still, like, put chakra arms at like the end of the tails and all that stuff. He can put hands on the end of if he wants to, so he can still manipulate it a bit, which is really cool. And I obviously do think that it gives him an overall advantage over the 8 tails and all the other tailed beasts, just because it's chakra. And also, when he first gets this form, I'm talking about Kurama mode and BIJUU mode, because again, they're the same form in my opinion. He can only stay in the form for 5 minutes the first time, then it's 8 minutes, and then, I'm guessing it's a really long time. It doesn't really give a specified limit, but he just keeps getting better and better, and the transformations get longer and longer, and yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about BIJUU mode and Kurama mode, which again, are the same form. Now, later on in the series, there's some people who can only be hurt by Sage mode stuff and taijutsu. So, even though this form is super tank, it's not going to do any good, and Naruto still needs to use Sage mode, which he does. And also, if he needs to use Sage mode, he'll just make a clone and let it float in the Kurama avatar head and let that do all the Sage mode stuff. But he has a solution to that. On to the next form. Yes, here it is, BIJUU Sage mode Naruto. Now, just gonna say, this is probably my favorite form. I really like a lot of the older forms too, but this one is my favorite. BIJUU Sage mode Naruto is just Naruto combining Sage mode with BIJUU mode. Now, everything's the same. I mean, he still has the abilities of Bijuu mode, and then he has all the abilities of Sage mode, which I already explained both of those, but they are combined. So this form is super duper strong. The only difference is when he's in Bijuu mode, he actually gathers natural energy a lot faster, which diminishes the weakness that he has to stand still for a long time by a crap ton. And then we have BIJUU Sage KURAMA mode, which is the same form, except now he has the body of the Nine Tails present. It looks the exact same as the last one, except obviously it has a Sage Chakra now. But as you can tell, the only difference in looks is that if you look on the left of Minato's, the black slits that go up his eyes, up his ears, they're just like, you know, thinner, while the one on the right, they're actually round to kind of, you know, represent the Sage mode markings as well. Now, yeah, this form, he can add Sage Chakra to tail Beast Bombs, he can add Sage Chakra to rasengans, making them a lot stronger, and also hurting people that can only be affected by Sage Mode Chakra, like Obito, or shall I say Jubito, when he has the 10 tails in him. Naruto still has the chakra from the 2 to the 7 tails inside of him, but he still cannot access it or use it in any way yet. Next we have Naruto's BIJUU Sage KURAMA mode combined with Sasuke's Susanno. They combine this and make an ultimate form with all of their friends with rasengans and all the tails to finally defeat Jubito. Definitely one of the coolest forms in the whole show, and it is extremely strong. Next we have Naruto's Six Paths plot mode. I'm sorry, I mean Six Paths Sage mode. Now, I guess you're wondering why I don't really like this form too much. Well, I'll explain when I explain the history. So basically, Naruto gets this form when he almost gets killed when he gets the Yang 9 tails ripped out of him. But then, he gets the Ying half put into him, but he also gets the chakra from the 1 tails and the 8 tails, which means he has the chakra inside him from every single tailed beast. When he's almost dead, he meets the Sage of Six Paths, and he gives him some chakra as well, and basically explains that you're the reincarnation of my son, Ashura. Sorry if I explained that wrong. And honestly, that ruins the whole goddamn show. You see, the whole point of Naruto is that he was the underdog, and, you know, he got stronger on his own, you know, with a bit of the help of the Nine Tails, but he learned to kind of, you know, control them and become friends with them on his own. But nope! Now, we all know that basically because Naruto was the reincarnation of Ashura, he was a naturally gifted guy, you know, it was gonna happen anyways, which just really pisses me off. It ruins the whole point of the show. Enough ranting about that. So yeah, in this form, Naruto has the chakra from the 1 to 9 tails, and he can access it all as well. This form, we don't see it fight very much, but it is stronger than every single form that we see before it. And the reason why I say this is because, long story short, BIJUU Sage mode Naruto got his ass kicked by the God Tree, while this form literally took the tree down with a lava rasenshurikan with chakra from the 4 tails. So yeah, this form's pretty damn tank. Next, we have Naruto's Six Paths Sage BIJUU mode. This is just Six Paths Sage mode, but now he powers up into his BIJUU mode. Obviously, this form is a lot stronger than just the normal Six Paths Sage mode, but it has a couple of differences. First of all, normal BIJUU mode, his skin turns yellow as well. In this form, it does not. And Six Paths Sage mode doesn't show any Truth Seeking Balls. In this form, he does get the Truth Seeking Balls, which, as we know, can basically disintegrate anything they touch if they don't have Six Paths Sage Chakra. Also, he can do weird things weird Sage of Six Paths things. Like, for example, Kakashi. He just gives Kakashi another eye, and he stops Guy from dying after he uses the 8 gates. Yeah, this form is basically the strongest form that we've seen yet, and again, he always uses the chakra from other tailed beasts as well, and he can use them at will. A very tank and very cool form. Oh, and I guess I should also mention he can fly. Next, we have Naruto's Six Paths Sage KURAMA mode, the same thing as Six Paths Sage BIJUU mode, except now the 9 tails is present, and he is stronger because, well, you know, he has the whole 9 tails Kurama avatar around him, which makes him stronger. And of course, he has all the same abilities as Six Paths Sage BIJUU mode that I just explained. Next, we have Naruto 3-headed, 6-armed, badass Kurama mode. I guess we could also call it Ashura mode, since it kind of resembles the chakra avatar that Ashura made in a flashback.
Long story short, this is like Naruto's strongest form ever. It's really cool, and we only see it when he fires off his strongest attack to hit Sasuke's. We don't really see much more of it. He combines 3 clones to make this crazy form, and I just wish we see more of it. Moving on. Next we have Naruto from The Last. I believe he is 19 at this point. Next we have Naruto BIJUU Sage mode in The Last. He has both House of Kurama in him now, but he's still weaker than he was at the end of Naruto because he's not using Six Paths Sage mode. I have no idea why, and this is not explained. Moving on. Next we have Hokage Naruto. I believe he's 33 at around this point. And, yeah, not much more to say about that. He's achieved his dream. Pretty damn cool. Next we have Naruto's Six Paths Sage BIJUU mode while he is the Hokage. Now, he has both halves of the Nine Tails in him. This is obviously not BIJUU Sage mode because he doesn't have the eye markings that Sage mode gives him. So I don't know why during The Last they made him go back to BIJUU Sage mode, but meh, whatever. Also, when he goes into this form, his skin is now colored in now. It's not like it was back during when he was fighting Madara and Kaguya there, where it wasn't. Also, I don't know if he's, like, as strong as he was, or if he lost any of his powers back that he had back then, because back then he was literally, like, you know, he gave Kakashi an eye. I don't know if he can do that anymore. I mean, his arm, he had to get an artificial arm, so I don't think that he can. And also, we do not see the true Seeking Balls, and I just don't know if he's deciding not to put them there, or I don't know if he lost any of his special abilities. But anyways, I still think this form is probably a little bit stronger just due to having both of the Nine Tails in him, and just due to him getting older. Anyways, moving on. And next we have Naruto's Six Paths Sage KURAMA mode with the complete Nine Tails. And next we have Naruto's Six Paths Sage KURAMA mode combined with Sasuke's perfect Susanno. And that's it.
Basically all I got for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please comment down below. And if you disliked it, you can go ahead and dislike it. Comment down below and tell me what you disliked. And any constructive criticism, go right ahead and tell me. I'm sorry it took so long for me to make this video. I would like to make more as soon as I can. Life's just been extremely busy with the whole working as a paramedic, all that stuff. I'm going to make an updated video and everything like that. And that's going to come later, though. Anyways, again, thank you very much for watching. I'm still waiting for my donor. I swear it didn't take this long. I literally just made the intro to this video and the outro at the same time. I'm ruining the movie magic, ain't I? But anyways, guys, I'm excited to go eat this donair, so I'm gonna go get it now because I'm pretty sure it's ready. That's all I got for today. Thank you very much for watching. SSJ Quinny out of here.